Human trafficking is modern-day slavery. It is the exploitation of a person through force, fraud, or coercion. Human smuggling and human trafficking are different crimes. Human smuggling is the illegal movement of someone across a border. Human trafficking is the illegal exploitation of a person. Human trafficking is about exploitation, not transportation. Human trafficking is a highly profitable crime and a violation of human rights. It occurs in every part of the world, including here in the United States. It happens in our big cities, our suburbs, and even in rural towns. It can happen to anyone. Human trafficking victims can be U.S. citizens or from other countries. Victims can be any age, race, or gender. But one thing they share is that they are vulnerable to being exploited. There are different types of human trafficking, including sex trafficking, forced labor, and domestic servitude. Sex trafficking victims are manipulated or forced against their will to engage in sex acts for money. Sex traffickers might use violence, threats, manipulation, or the promise of love and affection to lure victims. Truck stops, hotel rooms, rest areas, street corners, clubs, private residences. These are just some of the places where victims are forced to sell sex. Any person under the age of 18 involved in a commercial sex act is considered a victim of human trafficking. No exceptions. Forced labor takes on many forms, and it happens here in the US and overseas. Through force, fraud, or coercion, victims are made to work for little or no pay. Very often, these victims are forced to manufacture or grow the products that we use and consume every day. Victims of forced labor could be found in factories, on farms, doing construction work, and more. Victims of domestic servitude are hidden in plain sight, forced to work in homes across the United States. Their traffickers sometimes take their identification papers and travel documents in order to limit their freedom. They are prisoners, working as nannies, maids, or domestic help. Every year in the United States, thousands of human trafficking cases are reported, but many more go unnoticed. That's because human trafficking is a hidden crime. Victims might be afraid to come forward, or we may not recognize the signs, even if it's happening right in front of us. We need to bring this crime out of the shadows. That's why the Department of Homeland Security created the Blue Campaign, to take a stand against modern-day slavery and help combat this heinous crime by raising awareness of human trafficking around the country. But we can't do it alone. We need your help. So what can you do to stop human trafficking? Visit the Blue Campaign website to learn more about the signs and indicators of human trafficking. Share this video on social media to help bring this crime out of the shadows. Be an informed consumer. Know who makes the products you buy and the food you eat to help keep slavery-tainted items out of your home. And finally, recognize and report suspected human trafficking. You can submit a tip to federal law enforcement online or by phone. For victim support, you can call or text the National Human Trafficking Resource Center. Help us bring this crime out of the shadows and into the light. Join the Blue Campaign. One voice, one mission, end human trafficking.
Now, I know some of you guys are saying, hey, you guys said that a couple times this morning. It's right, we did. We're going to say it a couple more times this afternoon because it's important for us to get that point across, that there is something you can do. There are places for you to go. There are websites established where you can report it. There's phone numbers you can call. And there's texts that you can put in place. So we want to make sure that you have that, and I think that we'll have that information available later on. Is anybody getting a benefit or learning something out of this this program today? Yes, good. I'm glad to see that. Right now, we're going to go into the whole idea about slavery. To me, it's an abomination. I can't believe in 2017 that a society is accepting people being bound in slavery after all the United States has been through to abolish it. And we find ourselves in an even more deeper well than we were before without any kind of ladder to get out of. So people refer to it as modern day slavery. And I kind of take this a little bit of offense because the slavery is slavery. To the victims that are encumbered in this slavery, it doesn't matter to them whether it's modern or past or old or new. It's slavery to these people. And it's imperative that we do something to move them out of this. However, what is changed and what does make it modern is how the demand side is able to exploit these supply side. We have Internet of Things. We have people out there that proliferate pornography. We have people that proliferate, actually, that kind of like desensitize our whole society to the fact that all of this exploitation is okay. It's not okay. And see, people will justify it by saying, well, that's your opinion. This is not my opinion. This is society's opinion. This is not what we were made for. And as a man, I can't stand up and say, hey, look, 90% of the people that are exploiting this stuff are men. What happened to us? Why isn't someone standing up and saying, as a man, you should be confronting these people, not allowing them to continue to do what they do? Because in the strongest thing, in the overall complexity of all this that we do, the easiest way to stop all of this is to end the demand. Because this is a business to most of these people. In fact, this is business to all these people. They could care less what the commodity is. It's a very profitable business, and that's exactly how they treat it, as a business. So as long as it's profitable, they're going to continue to do this. And it's more profitable to them because they don't pay taxes on it. There's no overheads. The overheads and everything are very slight. So the money they make off of this is extreme profits. One of the things I have to put in front of everybody is that if we can place a stronger mediation in cutting this supply, this demand side, if we can get into people's their moralities, if we can get into their complexity, if we can get into their responsibility as a member of the community, that we can cut this demand side. That's one of our goals. So what makes slavery modern today is the proliferation of its demand, its covertness, and the method of its deployment. By creating a demand for the services, no matter how illegal or perverse, an industry is created, and that industry is willing to go to extraordinary measures to capitalize on the demand that's created. Even though it's an extremely offensive to me, to society, the fact that it even exists in today's culture, it's against everything that I stand for, and especially for our society, but especially for me as a man. I can't justify or condone any of this type of behavior. So I understand that people do things that are wrong or maybe not so wrong, but it's kind of borderline, and I can tolerate most things, but slavery is not something that I can tolerate for any reason, for any purpose. And it's this horrid, insatiable appetite that people try to